Good morning, boys and girls. Pastor Ben here. What? You must be confused. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you're not Pastor Ben, you're Plaid Pete. Well, I'm telling you, I don't know who Plaid Pete is. I'm Pastor Ben, and I am so excited to share this Bible story with you. If I'm related to anyone in those opening skits, it's sheep. Just kidding. So our Bible story today is from a couple of the chapters of the Bible. It's a story about Jesus' death and resurrection. So to introduce us to the Bible story, I thought I would talk about something that we've all had to do at times. We have all had to say goodbye, right? Maybe it was a friend at school. Or maybe you had a friend come over and play at your house, or maybe your whole family was all together in one place and you were having a party, maybe a bonfire with s'mores and marshmallows and Hershey bars and graham crackers. And if you're like my kids, you just eat up all of the chocolate bars right away, and then no one has any chocolate left. Hey, where'd the chocolate go? Well, we had to say goodbye to the chocolate. And maybe you had to say goodbye to your family when the party was over. So here's what I want you to think about, and stop the video, pause it after this question, and just talk a little bit about it with each other. Tell your friends who are there with you doing this VBS, or your siblings if you're just with your family. I want you to tell them about a time in your life when it was hard for you to say goodbye. Tell them about a time when it was hard for you to say goodbye. Go ahead and pause the video. So now that you're back with us after talking with them, let me tell you about a time when it was hard for me to say goodbye. This was way back when I was first going to college. College is after high school. So if you know what high school is, that's after middle school. And middle school is after grade school. So it goes elementary school, middle school, high school, then college. And I went to college an hour and a half away from my family. Now, that's not that far. If you were riding on a horse, that would take a little bit longer, or maybe even a train. But it was my first time living away from my family, and I had to say goodbye. It was really hard. I said goodbye to them, and you know what I did? I got in my car, I drove away, and then I stopped. I drove around the block, thinking about how I had to say goodbye to my family, even crying just a little bit. And then I kept driving, and I went to school, and everything was good. Sometimes it's hard to say goodbye. Sometimes it's also really hard to say goodbye when we know that our family member or our friend is sick. Sometimes life is really sad, and it feels like we have to say goodbye forever because maybe we have a friend or a family member who dies, and we wonder, are we ever going to see them again? Well, that's one of the reasons why this story from the Bible is so important, because we can, and we're going to find out how. Here's the next question that I want you to think about. You've thought about those times that were hard to say goodbye, but now I want you to think about the time before you had to say goodbye. Think about all of the good things in your life. Think about all of the good things that are in your life because of that other person. Maybe it's your friend or your family. Think about all of those good things in your life that you want to last forever. And that's what I want you to talk about. Pause the video right now and tell your friends or tell your family about the things, about something in your life that you want to last forever. Maybe it's the bowl of Fruity Pebbles that you ate for breakfast, or Frosted Flakes, or Frosted Mini Wheats, or maybe it's the time that you were outside playing on the swing set with your friends. Whatever it might be, tell your friends or your family about one thing in your life that you would want to last forever. Go ahead and pause the video. Well, you're back again. You've unpaused the video. You've talked with your friends or your family about those things that you would want to last forever. And now guess what? We're going to talk about Jesus. And we're going to talk about how he gives us the power to live forever. You know, Jesus, he came to be with his friends. He actually came to be with us. He was born in human flesh. Jesus was God himself, but he took on human flesh and blood, just like we do. Go ahead and feel your arms, pinch your shoulders, touch your nose, touch your ear. Jesus came, he was born, and he was human just like us. And when he grew up, he did many awesome, miraculous things. He was God, but he was also human. And he came and he had close friends whom he called disciples. He taught them and he did awesome miracles with them. For 3 years, he journeyed around the earth and he did amazing things. He healed the blind. He healed the lame, the ones who couldn't walk. You heard about that yesterday in your Bible story. He did so many amazing things. And guess what? Jesus told us about the one most amazing thing that he was going to do. He told his friends, and he told everyone who would listen, that he was the light of the world. He was the true light that came into the world, that gives light to everything. And he came into this world, and he was going to die for us. He was going to die so that he could then take his life back up again. He was going to die so that he could rise again. Jesus had a special meal with his disciples, his closest friends, the night before he died. And it was night, and they were eating dinner, probably by candlelight, probably similar to the candlelight that you see in front of you in the camera right now. And when it was time for Jesus to go out to be arrested, he said, let's go out into the night. And so they did. They took their torches. They took a little bit of the light of flame with them. And soldiers came to arrest Jesus. And they arrested Jesus. And they put him on trial and they found him guilty even though he was completely innocent. And they sentenced him to die. All of the world's evil, all of the world's badness, all of the world's really hard goodbyes, they all were falling on Jesus' shoulders. Jesus said he was the light of the world, and he came into the world to die. And so when he went to the cross for us, and all of the world's evil, all of our sin descended upon him, Jesus breathed out his last, and his light was extinguished. But the amazing thing about what Jesus promised was that was not the end of the story. It's not the end of the story for Jesus, and it's not the end of the story for us. You see, on 3 days later, early in the morning, When the women went to the tomb to anoint Jesus' body after he was buried, guess what? They found that the tomb was empty, that Jesus was risen. So Jesus had died, but now he is alive again. And just as Jesus promised to his disciples, so he promises to everyone, to each and every one of you, that Jesus' power can help us live forever. The light of the world could not be extinguished by the darkness of death. And Jesus promises us that our goodbyes do not have to be forever. That because of his power, which defeated death and rose again from the dead, we can live forever with God. We can have joy forever with God. We can have happiness together with God. We can have food and feasting. The Bible talks about this in heaven with God. We will be rejoicing and celebrating and partying and having, I think, all the s'mores you can eat with the endless chocolate bars, perhaps. I don't know. Maybe not, but it won't even matter. We will be so happy. And you know what? The same thing can be true for all those that we love when we trust in Jesus. Isn't that such an important story to share with each other, with our friends, with our family, with everyone? That Jesus' power can help us to live forever. I'm so glad that you spent this time with me, boys and girls. Thank you for sharing in this Bible adventure. Remember, if you want to read more about this story, about Jesus' death and resurrection, you can look in the book of Matthew. Ask your friends or your family, your parents to help you with this. Look in the book of Matthew in chapter 26 through 28, or in John chapter 19 and 20, and you can read more about Jesus' death and resurrection, the wonderful news that Jesus did die, but he is alive again. And that's good news for us because Jesus' power helps us live forever. Trust Jesus.